Almost 3 years after setting off from the Arctic Circle, I'd cycled through 12 countries, and it felt hard to imagine what more there was for me to experience. I'd been chased by swarms of mosquitoes and faced off with grizzly bears in the wild north. I'd seen giant glaciers, green lakes, and wild beasts, all before crossing into the lower 48 to watch the sunset over Lake Tahoe, push my bike through the snow, and enjoy the coldest nights of my life. I then began my journey through Mexico, where I was tested by the desert on the Baja Peninsula, and after 9 months I had fallen completely in love with the country. In Central America, I swam in waterfalls, saw volcanoes exploding and lava raining down. I camped on beaches with stunning sunsets, and got to meet the friendliest people. But in Panama, the road ended, and suddenly I'd cycled the entire length of North America. So I traded my bike for a kayak to chase a dream of paddling to South America. I camped on my own desert islands, watched the dolphins swimming across my hull, and got to experience a way of life that was so wildly different to anything I'd ever known. And after 2 weeks at sea, I landed on the shores of Colombia, and it was finally time to start riding through the mountain range I'd be calling home for the next year of my life, the Andes. In Colombia, I met so many amazing people. I watched the Milky Way wander above the silent Paramo, and showed an old friend a new way to live. In Ecuador, I slept beneath ice-capped giants, made friends with the Quechua, and battled trails built by the Incas themselves. In Peru, I found endless beauty and took on the rainy season in one of the hardest places in the world to ride a bike. I rode through the snow, crossed fierce and freezing rivers, and dragged my bike over landslides before arriving in Chile, where I fled from lightning storms like I had never seen before. And after all of this, I arrived at the penultimate country of my journey, Bolivia, where I was still somehow about to experience something unlike anything that had come before. Just crossed into Bolivia, which is country number 13 of the journey, and I'm going to be crossing the nation's 2 largest salt flats, the biggest of which of course being the famous Salar de Uyuni. But before I can get there, I need to cross the far less travelled Salar de Uyuni. So the rainy season has literally just ended here, which is possibly the worst time to be riding across the salt flats. And Uyuni in particular is known for being incredibly wet. So I have no idea what's in store for me. All I can do is just get out there and find a way. Looks like I've made it to the edge of Salar de Uyuni. And dotted around all of these salt flats are these kind of islands, and right here is one of the bigger ones, which is home to the town of Uyuni itself. And it's looking like there's a pretty nice road that's going to take me across to it. Well, the sunglasses are out, because apparently there were some cyclists that rode across these salt flats and ended up with temporary blindness. So these are going to be an absolute must out here. And it wasn't long before I'd made it to the village of Uyuni, where I picked up 2 days of food to cross the salt flat, and even made a new friend. You coming with me, bud? Boss.
Won't you take a ride with me on the Road Dog Express? Living ain't easy.
Well, this bit is dry enough to ride on, and if it's all like this is going to be a great time out here.
Worries to rest on the Road Dog Express. Gonna take a little drive.
Already starting to see just how wet it is out here right now. So I think my best bet for the time being is going to be to skirt the edge of the island as long as I can.
Poncho, take a left. leaving Florida and headed west on the Road Dog Express.
What do you reckon, bud? It's pretty, isn't it? Oh, he's definitely a smart dog. He's running in my shadow to stay cooler. Hope I'm not tying you out too much, bud. Still got a little ways to go.
Gonna start out sunny, yeah, way down south, till it's snowing out in Denver. He's headed for the clouds. You could try to catch me, just like all the rest, on the Road Dog Express. The greats made it look easy, living on the run, drinking from a bottle, just having fun. Try to keep your money, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Go on, buddy, get it, get it.
Express.
Go on. Almost, bud. Good try. You're not gonna get him, bud. He's too fast for you, and he has wings. You don't have wings, do you?
No dollar to be spent. Yeah, I think I'm late on rent. Lady on the line, will I be home on time? Lord knows she's on my mind. She must be heaven sent on the Road Dog Express. Lord knows she's on my mind. She must be heaven sent on the Road Dog Express.
Almost there, buddy. Almost there. What do you reckon, bud? Looks pretty good to me, eh? You're just happy with anything, aren't you? You little salty dog. You're not... This isn't very helpful. You're lucky you're so cute. Making some peanut butter noodles for dinner here. So while my noodles finish up cooking in the pot cozy here, I'll fry up an onion and a ton of garlic. And then to finish up the sauce, I'm gonna whack in a big old dollop of peanut butter. Also adding some milk or some regular butter in here goes really well too. And you end up with this lovely peanut butter sauce to mix in with your noodles. I feel bad that I've got nothing for my friends here to eat. Oh buddy, it is your lucky day. For some reason, when I was in the store there at the last minute, I just decided to buy an extra thing of noodles, and I guess this was why. I'm going to cook these up for him. It's all for you, bud. Beautiful, eh? Look at those clouds. Morning, bud.
That is quite something.
Sometimes I wake up with the sadness, other days it feels like madness.
What do you think,
What
bud?
would I do without
Pretty
you?
cool, eh?
When colors turn to shades of grey, with
Pretty
the
cool.
weight of the world at the end of the day, what would I do without you? A decade goes by without a warning, and there's still a kindness in your eyes. Amidst the questions and the worry, a peace of mind always takes me by surprise.
Yeah, look at you. You are so wet. Such a wet dog.
I feel like I'm walking with eyes as blind as a man without a lantern in a coal mine. What would I do without you? My imagination gets the best of me, and I'm trying to hide, lost at sea.
Hi bud, you ready to go?
What would I do without you? The difference between what I've said and done, and you're still standing by my side. A guilty soul and a worried mind.
This is just a dream.
If I'm on my
I've seen a fair few vehicles pass by this morning, which gives me a lot of hope that I'll be able to cross the rest of Salar de Uyuni today. It's just a case of trying to choose the right route.
So you got the morning, I got midnight. You are patient, I'm always on time. What would I do without you? You got your sunshine, I got rain clouds. You got hope, I got my doubts. So what would I do without you?
Buenos días. ¿Qué tal?
What would I do without
Esto pero es de Copasa. Sí, ¿sabe esto pero?
Sí.
Ah, ok, bueno. Esto pero tienes una familia, sí.
Sí.
Ah, ok, bueno. Perfecto.
Listo, gracias.
Todo bien. ¿Puedo pasar para Laca?
¿La quiaca?
Sí.
De allá, así tienes que irte.
¿Sí? ¿Cómo es el camino? ¿Es bueno?
Sí,
o-
sí, el
sí.
camino después.
Ok, gracias. Nos vemos, amigo. Adiós.
¿Te acompañó?
Sí, para ayer.
Listo, gracias.
Todo bien.
Ya
Hasta
listo.
luego. That was sad. But actually it's really good timing because I'm almost at the end of the island where I was going to say goodbye to him anyway. And at least he'll definitely be going back to his family now. I've made it to the southernmost point of the island here, and it is looking way drier over this side, so I think it's time to start crossing the salt flat. And by the looks of it, the first island's only going to be about 2 miles away. Well, it's a lot wetter out here than it looks. It's really hard to judge from a distance, but the water's all really low and the salt beneath it's hard, so there's no problem riding across it. The great thing though is once it's dry out here, you can absolutely fly across this stuff. Oh, amazing. Just passing by that first island on my left here. I think the next one's another 15 miles away. But if the salt stays like this, I'll be there in no time. Well, it's going pretty well. I've only got about 6 miles left to go until the island. And most of the salt has been pretty hard and pretty fast moving. But every now and again you just hit a soft patch of salt and you have to get off and push. And because everything just looks exactly the same out here, you have no idea when you're going to be getting back on your bike again. Just looking for a trail now. That wasn't too bad in the end. Only took about 2 hours to cross, which is pretty good going considering I pushed the last couple of miles there. I think there's still a few miles to go till I'm actually on the island, but it just feels good to be on some solid ground again. Well, that is Salar de Uyuni crossed. Now I think it's about 18 miles to a town where I can resupply. I arrived in the small town of Yika just as the sun was setting and decided I'd take a rest day there. I don't know quite what drew me to this town. Maybe it was the mountains that surrounded it, or the friendly dogs that lined the streets. Or maybe it was the 11 days of cycling since the coast of Chile. But I left feeling fresh and ready to take on Salar de Uyuni. Well, here we are, the biggest salt flat on the planet. I'm not sure exactly how big it is, but for me I'm going to be crossing about 100 miles of it to get to a town called Uyuni on the eastern side. Now there's two ways for me to get there. First is to just go straight through the middle, and I have no idea how wet or how difficult that's going to be. Or alternatively, the safer route is to skirt the northern edge of the salt flat, where I'm nearer to the land, where there's actual roads, and it's probably going to be drier. And if you've been watching my videos for a while, you've probably already figured out which one I'm going to go for. And the only way I'm going to find out if it's even possible is to go and give it a go. Way off in the horizon there, you can just about see a tiny little island. I think it's about 30 miles away in a straight line. And my goal today is just to make it there and camp. Just gotta hope the salt's dry enough for me to get there. Well, the deeper I'm getting into it, the drier it's getting, which is a really good sign. From that town I packed out a bunch of these Bolivian pastries called salteñas, and pretty much every country I've been to in Latin America has their own kind of take on the empanada, and I think these are definitely the best. That's what the inside looks like. These are filled with potato and meat and eggs, and in the past the ones I've had are also completely full of gravy. These ones are a little drier, but still so good. Feel like these could just do with a little bit of salt though. Shame I haven't got any. I'm now just past the halfway point to the island, and it's starting to become a bit of a mental battle out here. Time is just passing by and it's like nothing's changing. It almost feels like I'm cycling on a giant treadmill. But the salt is completely dry out here, which is just the best news I could have asked for. And it's only going to be another 15 miles to the island. Getting close now. That is our island. I wanted to try and camp on an island tonight to try and find some escape from the winds that can get pretty fierce out here. And that is exactly what I've found here on Isla Tortuga. What a wild, wild place this is.
Oh, what a treat.
The night I spent at Coipasa, it was weirdly cloudy, but tonight there is not a cloud in the sky and the stars are just incredible.
Yum.
Feeling very grateful for other people this morning. Whoever built these walls that kept me out of the wind last night, and whoever left that firewood that kept me warm while I watched the stars. And this morning there is just a nice easy 14 miles of salt between me and the next island.
A hot cup of wine on a chilly afternoon. I look like a sailor and I drink like one too. We carried a torch into the night, through the cobblestone alleys with wandering hands and wandering eyes. True poetry hides at the bottom of a frosted glass. We hide in the shadows to preserve our new romance. The mercury keeps rising as our hearts keep racing, and we turn away into...
So this is Isla Incahuasi. Apparently it's where they bring all the tourists, but for me it's my last hope of getting some water for tonight. Ah, sweet. So there was actually something else I wanted to come see on this island. See, what many of you won't know is my full name is actually Daniel Camp. And it turns out the province that I'm in right now is called Daniel Campos. Apparently he was a poet that was from this area. But if I just go like this, it's me. So this is actually the final island until the end of the Salar, which is about 45 miles away now. Which means tonight I'm going to be heading out right into the middle of it and braving the wind. It should be pretty cool. So the salt here is far too hard to get a steak into. This is the best I've managed here, but it's the only stake I've got this small. There's no chance of getting these in. So I think I'm just going to have to pitch the inner of my tent tonight. It seems my luck's in though, because there is absolutely no wind out here right now. This is the stillest I've seen it at this time in Bolivia. So I should be okay. So I've been trying to set up just the inner part here, but I've never done it before. And this is the best I've got. I think you still need to stake out the corners to make it work properly. But then I realised something. There's no bugs out here. So I think I'm going to cowboy camp tonight. There we go. Way easier. So I'm actually really excited to be cowboy camping tonight, because there's something really special that happens when you're cowboy camping. As you're asleep, your eyes get really well adjusted to the dark. And so when you wake up randomly in the middle of the night and you open your eyes and you see the stars above you, they are just like nothing you have ever seen before. So for some reason it's become somewhat of a tradition for cyclists going across the Uyuni to take a photo of themselves riding their bikes completely naked. And I think it's kind of weird and no one wants to see that. So instead I'm going to do a photo of myself riding my bike wearing all of my clothes at once. I'm already halfway there because it was pretty cold last night, so this shouldn't take long. Well, what do we reckon? Oh, it's a little worrying how not that uncomfortable wearing all of my clothes at once is.
And now all that was left to do was to ride the final miles to the edge of Salar de Uyuni.
Man, where were these clouds yesterday? I got burnt in places I have never been burnt before. The backs of my knees, even my eyelids. I was wearing a hat and sunglasses all day yesterday and my eyelids got burnt. I think I underestimated how strong the reflection off the salt would be. Well, there we go. I've officially cycled across the biggest salt flat on Earth. I've got no words. That was just unbelievable. Look at my bike though. It's just covered in salt.
Won't you take a ride with me on the Road Dog Express? Living ain't easy, but life's the best. Put your troubles behind, lay your worries to rest on the Road Dog Express.